So let's create a simple scene to demonstrate how animations work in Cinema 4D. Okay, so with this simple scene, I just want the simple cube running along a path, and there will be this windmill next to it. Okay, so let's just create. Okay, so I'll move to the top view because I want to create the path that my cube will be moving on. Okay, so I take the spline pen tool and I start creating the path. So and hold and drag, something like this. Okay, so this is my path. This is okay for me. Okay, so I select it and move it. Go to the object mode here, and so that I'll move it so that it's somehow centered in my scene. Okay, here like this. Okay, I'll move back to the perspective view. So I have this, and I need to spline wrap this. So I'll create a spline. I'll create a rectangle, and also come to the generators here and create a sweep because I want to sweep this rectangle along the path of the spline. Okay, I'll make it the children of it, but it's too big. Okay, this rectangle is big, so I'll come to the object tab inside the attributes manager and change the height. So a height of maybe 40, it's okay, and I will increase the rounding so that I have some beveled edges, and the rounding, the radius is also big, so I'll just decrease it to maybe 5. Okay, now I have it. Now if you look at the sweep generator, you see it's not really swooping smoothly. It's because that the spline doesn't have so many subdivisions. So you select the spline right here, you come to where it says the intermediate points inside the attributes manager under the object tab, and you change from adapted to subdivided. So now it's smooth. Okay, now we have the path that the our cube will move on. Okay, so let's create this cube. Okay, this cube, let's make the cube maybe 100 on all sides. Okay, let's give it some fillet. Okay, this is okay. And let's duplicate the spline. Okay, we need to duplicate the spline, so we can either duplicate it here or duplicate it here. So I want to hold Control and drag it so that I get this duplicate of the spline. Okay, and I want to move it up a little bit. Okay, so this is the spline right here. Okay, and I want this cube to run along this spline. Okay, so with the cube selected, I right click and I have to assign a tag to it. And with Cinema 4D, we have a tag system. The tag system simply tells Cinema 4D what you want the system to treat the object that you have the tag on. So with this, I want this object to run along a path of an object. Okay, a path of the spline. So I right click on that cube, okay, here, and I go to the animation tags, and the tags are grouped in so many categories. Okay, we will get to this when we get to the project part of this course. So we come to the animation tags here, and I want to align to spline. Okay, I want to align the cube to the spline, so I'll give it the align to spline tag. Now with this tag selected, Cinema 4D knows that it will have to align this cube to a certain spline, but it doesn't know the spline it will have to align it to. So with the tag selected, you see when you come to the attribute manager, I have a space where you can put the spline path. So the spline that we duplicated, we drag it inside. So now the cube will be aligned onto that spline, and we have the position. So the position will tell the cube which position the alignment should take effect. Okay. So let's put it somewhere here and then zoom. Let's go to the front view actually. Let's zoom back, and you want to put the cube so that it's sitting right on the road that we created, this path. Okay, and then we cannot move the cube because it's aligned to the spline. The move can move. Okay, so what you can do is actually move the spline itself. So with the spline selected, let's look at the axis here. Okay, and move it and until we see that the cube is sitting on the path. So I think mine is okay right here, it's sitting on it. Okay, so I come back. So now my cube is sitting right onto the path, the road that we created earlier. Okay. Okay, so when we come to the properties, now we can animate this parameter. Okay, you can animate it. Okay, so in 0 frames, I want to have the position at 0, and then when I move to the end of my scene, which is my timeline, I have 90 frames now. I move it all the way to 100 and set that position. Okay, so when I play through, you see it's moving on the path like that. Okay, but right now my animation curves is set to ease in and ease out, which I don't want it. I want to be linear, the same speed throughout. Okay, so what I can do is, see this icon, this toggles my timeline dupe sheet. Okay, when I click on it, my dupe sheet comes up. Sometimes it will be as little as this, so you can just enlarge it by putting your mouse cursor at the edge of it. This icon will come, you click and drag it up, and it will increase, it will maximize that window. Okay, and I want to change to the F curves. Okay, this is the dope sheet, this is the F curve mode, and this is the motion mode. I want to use the F curve mode. So when I switch to F curve mode, this is the align to spline object. That is the only animation I have. Okay, selected here, so I can click the drop down here to review the parameters that I set the animation on. And remember, we set the animation on the position parameter here, so you see the position parameter. So when we select it, you see the curve. Okay, so you see a curve, so it's slow, move fast, and then end slow, move fast, and then, but I don't want it like that. I want it straight line, like a linear form. Okay, so I'll hold with the position selected, I'll hold Control and A to select all the timeline, this timeline itself. Okay, Control A to select all of them, and it says selected. And I'll come top here, we have the linear, we have the step, and we have the spline. I want the linear. Okay, so when I click linear, it's now a straight line. So you see, it's now going on a straight line. There's no speed limit in anywhere. So that's what I want. Okay, so let me hide my F curve window. Okay, now we have it. Okay, so now this is an animation. It's a series of keyframes joined together to create motion. Okay, let's build on this animation. So let's stop it right now. Let's move back to 0. Okay, and let's create something like a windmill. Okay, so let's create a cube. Okay, and make it editable. Yeah, just go to the front view like this. Let's switch to the points mode. We take the rectangular selection tool, we select the top like this and move it up, and then let's scale it down. We take the scale tool and then we scale it down to have this thing. Let's take the rectangular selection tool, select the down one here and move it up so that it matches with the road we created earlier. Okay, go back to the object mode. Now let's create a cylinder. Okay, we have a cylinder right here, and at the moment the orientation that it's at, I don't want it, so I want to change it. So I'll change it to the Z positive so that it's facing this way, and I put it onto like this. Yes, onto my object like this, and I want to create some fillet on it. So I come to the caps and choose fillet, and I'll have some fillet on it. Okay, so now we have this. This is our cylinder. Okay, and let's create the blades or the fans of this. Let's just use a cube. So I'll create the cube, move it up, go to the front view, and make sure that the center of the cube is matching the center of this cylinder. Okay, so in order to do that, you make the cube a child of this cylinder, and then you change the position of the cube to 0, 0. So you go to the coordination, you change the y0 to 0. Okay, it will take the position of the parent object, which is the cylinder, and it will set its 0 axis to the middle of that parent object. So now the middle of this cube and the cylinder is the same thing. So we select the cube and we make it a little bit smaller like this, and longer like this, and then the other side too, we make it the same thing like this. Okay, and now we can move it in front like this and make sure it won't touch this. It will touch it. So let's take the whole cylinder and move it up. It will move with us. It will also move with this. Okay, so I think the blade is too long, so let's increase it a little bit. Okay, so we have this. Okay, now we need to animate the cylinder. Remember, this cube is a child of this cylinder, so any position that the cylinder is, the cube will also take the same position. So we need to animate the cylinder. Okay, so with a timeline at 0% at the start, I want to change the rotation on here. This is the rotation. This is the bank that I want. We have other rotations like this, which I don't want this, and I don't want this also. Okay, so I put this on 0 and then 0, and I want it to rotate in my x-axis. Okay, so here I want it to rotate my z-axis, sorry, the z-axis here. Okay, so when it starts, I want it to be at 0 degrees on my 0, and then I will set a keyframe for it. And then at the end, because I want this animation to loop, I can make it 360, but 360 degrees is the same as 0 degrees. When you calculate it mathematically, 360 degrees is the same as 0 degrees, and at the start we have 0 degrees. So at the end, instead of putting 360, I'll make it 359 degrees and set another keyframe, because 360 is the same as 0 degrees. So if I put 360 here, we have a two-step of position here, because 0 is the same as 360. But if I have 359 here, the next frame will be 360, which is the same as 0, so 0. So this way we'll have a perfect looping system. For now, you won't have a perfect loop because the animation is easing in and out. Okay, so when you play the animation, you see it starts slower and ends slower. Okay, but that's not what we want. We want it to be linear. Okay, so with the cylinder selected, we come to the dope sheet window here, still inside the F curve. Okay, and then because we change the cylinder, we select the cylinder, you have the F curve here. Remember, we are not using the F curve of the align to spline, we want to use the F curve of the cylinder right here, which is the rotation. Okay, so with that selected, we Control A to select the keyframe right here, and we change it to linear. So now we have a linear keyframe. Okay, so when we play through, it's now going like that. Okay, it's looping perfectly. Okay, so if you position your camera, something like this. Okay, let's zoom in on it. Okay, like this, then we have a perfect loop animation. Okay, so that is all about the animation in Cinema 4D. I hope that you can continue learning about this animation, because you can use it to create some beautiful motion graphics and motion animation in Cinema 4D. Thank you, and see you in the next video.